call this meeting to order.
And we have Tricia's on as well. Tricia, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, great.
And I did call the meeting to order already, so. And we have two sets of minutes to review. Am I correct?
Yes, I read through them. One meeting you weren't at, that's the one of September.
No, September I wasn't.
You were there, no, it was the February one. And I read through them and I didn't see anything that would need to be corrected, did you?
No.
So the fact that Jerry wasn't here, he can't be a part of this, I'll make a motion that we accept these minutes as written.
For February, you're specific.
Excuse me?
For February?
Yes, for the February,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll second the motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the September
So
2019.
before we do that, let's vote on February.
Yeah, we'll do.
Just all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I abstained because I wasn't here. Right. And then September 2019, so it's, the minutes are approved for February 2020, September 2019. I didn't really see any issues with it. The only concern I had was on the first page where Mr. DeSantis started in about Mr. Greenwood being fired and yada, yada, yada. I just wanted to be sure that the remarks that he made at the end of that page, the beginning of the last page, reflect his opinion.
It was just his opinion, yes.
And if the board agrees that the minutes show that, then that's fine.
I think that the way it read, it was pretty obvious that it was his opinion that all that stuff had happened, and none of us felt, made any statement about it.
As I read it, I just thought.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so can we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the September 2019 meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are approved unanimously. The next order of business is appeal number 821, which is.
If I could, just before we get into the agenda, I'd just like to make an announcement for those who are joining us online. You will be provided, the applicants will be provided an opportunity to speak, obviously, to their applications in the order that they're listed on the agenda. Those in attendance this evening virtually who want to speak, when the chairman opens the public hearing, we will open up the ability for the participants here to be heard. They can just speak into their computer if they like, or on the public hearing notice, there was a dial-in number. The chairman has the phone there next to him, and you can simply dial in with the phone, and we'll also hear you on the speaker as well. So you have your option of participating either through the computer, and on the computer it can either be voice, or they can type in a chat message here, similar to that, and I read the question or the comment into the record and for the board's benefit, and it's just like the person was here saying it directly. So I just want to make sure there was those special notes given the format tonight. So
Okay.
that's it.
Very good. So the first appeal is the appeal that was tabled from February, appeal number 821, request of William Smith for a special use permit pursuant to Chapter 149, Article 5, and the Schedule of Regulations for C1 General Commercial Zoning District. The applicant is proposing storage of automobiles to be stored on the site and then move to another location for sale. Property where the automobiles will be stored is 714 to 718 Southwest 12803. And able to that already. So I believe I wasn't at that meeting, so I'm gonna kind of.
We do have Mr. Smith in attendance this evening.
Okay.
Bill, are you there?
I am here.
Bill?
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Smith, are you? Was there anything that you wanted to add to what was said at the last meeting, or?
No, I don't think so. I think that I spoke with Mike Romeo, and I think that he is also in the meeting.
Oh yes, he's on. I can unmute him as well.
Good. Okay. I know that there was some talk about getting an attorney at that meeting as well. Is that?
Well, there was when the meeting went where nobody showed up, nobody had any issues with the cars being there, and it's zoned for automotive, gas station, things like that. I think there was 2 board members on board okaying it, and then there was one that wasn't real happy, but said that people weren't happy, but nobody showed up and nobody wrote a letter. So I don't know what's,
What I have is notes from that meeting, the notes I was taking as the discussion was going on. The limitation, they were discussing certain conditions and limits, and then other items for additional information. Wholesale cars only, no retailing on the site. In other words, no car sales occurring directly from the lot. No sign, no lighting. Vehicular cars and light pickups only, no heavy duty trucks or, tandem trucks, things of that nature, heavy equipment. No cars for salvage. There was a recommendation, and I recall a lot of discussion around a landscaping plan, given the fact it's on Route 9 and so prominent. A 100 car limit was mentioned as a possibility for the number of cars at any one time on the site. And then there was some discussion about limits on the deliveries and the schedule of when cars would be brought there and taken away. I think out of a traffic concern. And then some channelization of that access to the site and some sort of improvement to the surface of the lot itself, whether it was, some fresh gravel or something of that nature. I don't think they're necessarily saying paving per se, but just some dressing up of the surface. And that was the items I had in my notes anyhow.
I would agree with that. Those were the discussions.
yeah, I agree with that as well.
Okay, so if those were conditions of the approval of the special use permit, you'd be satisfied?
Well, I believe in Mike. Mike, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, Mike, we can hear you.
Okay.
I believe that Mike has agreed to put stone down to enhance the, the grass, and make it better for moving and pulling in cars. And the other thing is that everything that was said is true. It's just for wholesale, and the cars are picked up by small trucks for the most part, under, usually by 5 o'clock. Or they're all in a row, and I don't believe that they look bad, but that's me.
Well, I've been observing every day. I go by that lot many times, and I just said that I felt that you kept the cars all lined up nice. That would be what we would want. We would want you to continue to do, that's a concern that we have, because if they're all there skewed and they just don't look, right, it's much more of an eyesore. I have observed that you've been doing that. You've been keeping the cars very lined up, and there's been a good transition of vehicles that are going in and out, and it doesn't really seem to be, a problem at this point.
Thank you. I agree.
Can you just describe for me the turnover of the vehicles? So you sort of described it, but I mean, are these vehicles being turned over every week, every month, every day?
They're turned over daily. It all depends on when the transport company for the customer that bought the car is coming to pick it up. But nothing stays there for more than maybe 30 days, and they come and go.
That's the concern that I would have, that there be some kind of limitation on how long a vehicle is going to be there. In other words, it's not going to be, well, they can't get sold, so they're putting the back of the lot forever.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part you said.
That they not, if the car isn't being sold, it should still be removed at some point.
Yes, every car over there is sold within, they're either already sold or they're waiting for an online auction to take pictures and be sold.
Okay.
I mean, I think what our concern is that, and you know that this does happen in some places. You don't want to end up with, as our chairman was saying, 4 cars in the back row that didn't move and the tires have gone flat and, they're just kind of sitting there and covered with dust, and we wouldn't want that. And I'm sure you wouldn't do that, but that's the point that we're trying to make, I think.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah, we don't have any cars on our entire property that are over 60 days old.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the things that we discussed earlier too. You've always run a very nice location. It's appealing to drive by. I never felt that it was that. And you've always had a very good relationship with our town and having your business there. So based on that, I would say I'm pretty comfortable that you'll do the same with this.
Okay, and where are the vehicles loaded and unloaded? Is it in the front on Route 9? Is that where it's...
Where are they going?
No, where are they loaded and unloaded for the lot?
Oh, yeah, so usually a truck pulls in, usually it's a 3-car hauler that'll come and pick it up. And there's in between the rows of the cars that are lined up, they pull into one of those rows, load the car and leave. Usually takes about anywhere from 20 minutes to a half hour.
Okay, so they're loading on the lot, not on the road.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely, and we're sticklers about that. We make sure they're on our property and the back property that we have out by the bowling alley as well.
And one of the concerns that was brought up at the last meeting was about access. Is there a way that we can make sure it's defined? Because right now it's like a grassy area on the side of Route 9. And there's really no way to kind of make sure the cars and trucks go in from the ends. So is there some way that we could put up, like maybe some grass there or something, just something that makes it so that you've got an entrance on one side and an entrance on the other side, and it's not just across the entire space? I know that was a concern.
Well, there's actually dividers in between. I think there's, Bill, am I right? Is there like 3 entrances there?
Is it 3?
Yeah, they 3. They're I forget what they're called, but the town had put them there years ago. When
Oh, it was like a barrier? I didn't pay attention.
It's a curved island.
It's like a curved
Island is separated by 10 feet between each one, so you have 3 entrances.
You got 3 entrances. Well, then that's...
So, and that was one of the things we did talk about last time, Mr. Smith, is we talked about specifically site improvements. It's a prominent corner in the town. It's next to a prominent business, obviously. We talked about improvements of some way, shape, or form. We're trying to pretty that up, make it look like something. We were holding back and demanding asphalt, but no, we were talking about potentially fencing, landscaping, maybe a small short fence you had proposed. We talked about maybe some planter boxes so people knew that wasn't an entrance, but actually a grassy area to the other point there. And I'm just kind of surprised that you don't have a new plan, you haven't devised anything as far as directional signage, landscape plan, beautification, no site improvements. You're basically just going to throw down gravel, and that's the only site improvement you're willing to. I mean, that's not exactly what we discussed last time, but I just want to make sure I understand that you have no intention of any other site improvements besides potentially putting down some new gravel.
That's correct. It's just going to be used as a transport lot.
Okay, so, and that was my concern, we talked about that last time too, Mr. Smith, was their carriage traders has a sizable lot across the corner. They also have one at the opposite side of Mr. Bill's right there on that corner, it's also a service shop. So, and then you got next to that, you got the strip mall, the rich aluminum, plus the bowling alley. So you've got a large swath of large parking lot areas open right there in that corner already, and I don't have much of an appetite to extend that car lot field down to 90 more than we already have. And I thought we talked last time again about trying to come up with some different things to make that look nicer. Sounds like we're not doing that anymore. I guess I just got asked out of my business, but I don't see, again, there's lots of room already devoted, lots of paved areas already devoted to that in this area. So I was kind of a little bit let down to say we don't have a plan.
You know, I think we discussed this last time we were there, and you know, if you take a right at that corner, I said this before, you have smashed up cars and everything else sitting there on that corner. You don't say anything about that. We're putting stone down. You don't want signs. You don't want lighting. We're not putting lighting. We're not putting signs in. You know, an exit and an entrance. If that's will appease you, which doesn't make sense, but because it's not for customers, it's for the wholesalers. Excuse me. Picking up cars. It's no customers go over there, and I don't know the aesthetics what you're looking for. You don't paint the curbs. It was a lot there before we put sheds there. No issue putting sheds there.
Sheds usually get parked in the grass. Vehicles don't get parked in the grass. Vehicles get parked on pavement. Sheds get parked in the grass.
He's got a stone now.
We don't know what kind of stone. We're not sure what he's going to do. He hasn't really committed to that. That's probably Justin. I guess.
Hey guys,
I think the fact
that
maybe
it's
overstep
gonna
it
look
down.
neat, tidy, and it won't look like a mess. We're getting ready to do a $250,000 renovation on the service department right now, right next door to me. So obviously have a vested interest in the community and making things look better. It's not gonna look like a mess with cars strewn everywhere. We're gonna put all the stone down. It'll look sharp. We'll keep it in rows all the time. If you have a problem, you guys know where I am. You let me know if you don't think it looks tidy, but I can guarantee it's gonna look tidy.
Well, I'm not concerned with you, sir. Again, your Terrace Business has been running for many, many years before I got here, and I don't have any issues with that. It's more that this permit, it goes with the land. Not with you, not with Mr. Smith, it goes with the land. So whatever happens here 5, 10 years, 20 years down the road is still going to be approved, basically. So that's my concern. Not necessarily with you, sir. You're obviously been running a business for many years. That's not the issue. The issue is in 10, 20 years from now, if it's not you, if it's someone else, then what do you got? This doesn't stay with you, this stays with the land.
Sure, and the land is gonna be mine. I mean, I'm purchasing it from Bill, right? Are we on the same page there?
Yes. Well, we have a contract.
Yes.
If we were to move forward with this and ask you to put some asphalt down there for the rain, mud season, and ruts and so on, that would just compound the grassy area, how long before you could get that down?
Honestly, it'd probably be a while because my first priority would be our lot. We're kind of in need of asphalt over there on the main lot and the service department, to be frank. So if we could put a nice layer of stone and then crushed stone on top of that in the transportation lot, I think that would probably be our third priority, to be completely honest.
What's your time frame? Do you have anything? Are you been working on that?
I mean, obviously depending on how business goes, but within, our plan is to do a complete renovation on the Carriage Traders building, within the next 3 years. So if we could get that going and have a good, 3 years, and that was our lot by then, we should be squared up with Bill. I wouldn't be opposed to doing it, but I don't want to guarantee anything either.
You're talking potentially 5, 6 years of a crushed stone situation, right? You maintain and keep that for 5 or 6 years or so, and then 10 down the road to do something upgraded. So nothing immediate though.
Yeah, correct. Because just because our priorities are bigger on a lot, we're in pretty good shape. Nice brand new paving job over there, but it's $150,000 just to put pavement down over there. So.
Makes sense.
And I have to. The shed is mine, and that's going to move probably within the next. I said this last time, probably within the next couple of weeks. I have to have Footy come and pick it up. I just used it over the winter to store things, but that's going to be moved because it's not my property. So that shed's going to be gone. And Mike hasn't even the green space. If you want to be honest, the green space goes all the way over to the insurance company, probably a foot off of that driveway. We haven't put cars over there or even gone over that way.
And guys, just another good point is that because of the COVID situation that we have right now, we're pretty backed up with cars over there. I think what's over there right now is probably going to be about the max of what you'll ever see.
Okay. Are your wholesalers starting to get back on track now with the whole COVID scenario in terms of transporting, or are they still down?
No, they've been up and going, for a few weeks now. It's been really touchy, just trying to follow all the regulations and everything, depending on what, we have guys in different states and everything. So some guys are up, but most guys are up and going. We're looking like June 1st, everything should be going pretty full bore. We have 13 guys out buying cars that most cycle through our lot at some point. We did 7,000 cars last year, and probably 80% of them cycle through our lot. So it's a lot of in and out, and that's why we had to purchase this lot.
Okay. I don't know, does anybody have any further questions for the? And my understanding is that this is gonna end up with a site plan review anyways.
Yeah, so all uses in the C1 zone require site plan review. And this is one required special use permit as well.
So, I mean, as part of our special review, special use permit, my feeling is we need to look at the traffic and the use and things like that. When we get into a lot of the aesthetics, I think that's site plan review.
Yes.
As much as anything.
They'll really be the ones to do that.
And we can put conditions.
I brought that up at the last meeting. I was told that that was an unfair burden to put on Mr. Smith, which I did not agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think it's a fair burden to put on. Just do have some sort of traffic, or have some sort of evaluation.
Oh,
A traffic study.
I don't believe it. He's not gonna have customers going in and out there. I don't see how that would affect the traffic or require that.
Right, I would agree with that as an observation.
Yeah, they're just part of that.
My only concern with the whole project, right from the get-go, was just to try to make it look a little bit nicer and just clean it up a little bit. That's it,
And I believe that the key to that will be, it goes to site review. I mean, we can post, we got a list that was just read before you came in. The things that we talked about at the last meeting. And that can be submitted to the site plan review, as these are our recommendations.
Understood.
And then site plan can make the decision, right?
What I advise, as you've done with special use permits in the past, is special use permit tends to go towards the operations of the use, the execution of it, and what reasonable parameters you want to set on it. So, I think, things like, no lighting, hours of operation, hours or, delivery times, that kind of thing I think is appropriate. And then if you want to advise the planning board that, you'd like to see a landscaping plan as part of the site plan review, that can be part of the motion as well. But usually the special use permit goes towards the operations of the use, how it's executed, how it functions.
But we don't want to say that would be something.
Right, there's an example.
We could add to our motion.
And that's a recommendation for the site plan.
There would be no signage, no lighting, no,
Actually, that's a condition. Those are
Yeah, those are conditions.
and I think that those are things that we should add to it. That way we know that that's what we've approved, and that's, when it comes to them making it aesthetically pleasing, site plan review is the ones that really.
And it's not my intention, look at the minutes from the last meeting, it's not my intention to make this a burden on the business owner. And, it's just simply based on some feedback that I had that we had discussed in the last meeting. So it sounds like these guys are looking at taking some measures. It may take some time, but.
And like I said before you came in, I've been being very observant of the space. It's not, everything looks nice. It's not, there's vehicles going in and out, but it doesn't change much. They're always parked in nice lines.
It's been consistent, yeah. So that's good.
My only question on the sign is, we talked about having directional flow, we've talked about improvement, beautification, different things to do with that corner. To me, a paved area with landscape and a sign that says this is a business, better than just a gravel lot, no one knows what's going on. And there's gonna be direction. I don't know if we should make it a sort of strict requirement, or maybe specify it should be reviewed by plan. I don't know if you want to make a determination for those guys.
I don't think we last time. I think if you, I had that site plan review based on what he wants. He doesn't want a sign that says enter and exit, because that's gonna be drawing people in, he doesn't want going in.
Right.
I mean, I think you'd be actually doing more harm to what we're trying to do here than good by putting a sign up. I think it really needs to be, and if he, and the fact that it's not gonna have constant traffic like you would have if it was a restaurant where people are going in and out. I have a comfort level with stone and being packed down properly, because you're not gonna have the constant, we're not talking about 400 cars going on that driveway.
Well, but you are talking about large vehicles, 7,000 pounds at a time.
But that's different than, it's the but stone gets moved with constant traffic. It's the traffic that really makes a stone.
I guess my concern would be that it's a prominent corner in town. My concern is having a gravel lot in a prominent, such a prominent area, just have one large gravel lot. But we all do we can to keep the dust down, but we all have in August. It is going to be dusty in August. We're on Route 9. Mr. Bill's car out there is operational. I'm sure he might have some issues with the dust. I don't know. I don't get ahead of myself. But again, I'm just concerned with a gravel lot in the middle of Route 9, prime real estate, prime area, and we're just going to have a gravel lot. I just don't know, again, with the planning board, I'm going to hinder them in our decision. But that's my 2 cents on it.
Those are a lot, those are fairly, the owner of the lot said back in February that there's not much you can do with the lot. It's not a buildable, sustainable lot. That's been sitting there since God knows how long.
Since 3 acres was torn down.
And nobody's gonna come put a franchise. There's not much you can do there. Sewer, there's not much going on.
And I understand what he's saying about custom stone, but that's when you got a business that people are driving in and out of town. You know, we're not gonna have that kind of traffic. So I hear you, and I think that when it goes to site plan review, if they feel that way, then they should do that. But from where I'm sitting, I feel we can give them stipulations, no signage, no lighting, no more than 100 cars, and I have a comfortable with it. I'm comfortable.
If gravel's an issue, then we can take it off the table. I thought it was just more of keeping things. We didn't have mud.
No, I think gravel's fine, I just don't think you want something big.
No, and
I think compacted gravel is quite good.
I think putting down, we're willing to put gravel in there, and I think it's gonna be fine, and I would want them to put gravel in there because we don't want the mud. I agree with you, and that was one of the things we talked about. There's a big difference between putting gravel and putting $180,000 worth of black.
oh, sure.
You know,
You
so,
can control the dust and the gravel.
Because with power wedding, proper powers, they make it say you can do things with it. And you put down a proper crusher run and a proper mix.
And from what I know of Carriage Traders, I mean, if there's a problem with that being a dusty corner, they're gonna fix it.
oh my God, yes, he doesn't want his cars getting
They're
dusty.
not gonna have that problem. But one question, Mr. Romeo, is this an expansion of your wholesale business?
Excuse me?
Is this an expansion of your wholesale business, or is this just relocating it?
No, we're expanding all the time, so I would say we just ran out of room on our lot. So yeah, we expanded and needed more.
Not that that's particularly relevant, but I'm just, that's good.
Yes, that's always good.
Yes. Okay, I haven't heard anything from the public. I don't think we have anybody else.
Well, you can ask that question and see if anybody signs in for a question.
Okay, does anybody have any further questions? Because I'm ready to close the public hearing.
Give it a minute or so.
This is the new norm.
This is interesting.
I just don't recognize everybody, you know, there's the other applicants are on there, but there's some
Other people observing, yes.
people observing that I'm not sure if they're here to speak or not. So I don't see anything coming in. In the meantime, I'll just review what I have so far during the dialogue. As conditions, no signs, no exterior lighting, automobiles and light duty trucks only will be stored, a 100 car limit. No retail sales from the site, and then I've got resurfacing the lot with fresh gravel. That could go either way. Then I have a recommendation to the planning board at site plan review for next significant landscaping plans.
So you're comfortable with the landscaping plan, I take it, Mr. Smith and Mr. Romeo?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the gravel either way.
Okay. But I mean, the planning board can demand what they demand.
Yeah, that's up to them.
I think the gravel, nothing, I want the gravel, I'm saying, hey, lot.
And I don't know, does it make sense to have a requirement of a turnover of the vehicles that nothing stays there more than 60 days?
I think that's a little bit.
I will say from an enforcement standpoint, that's a difficult thing to enforce.
Yeah,
The 100 car limit would be the.
I think the 100 car limit is the key to it, and I'm sure that if we ever saw where there was cars sitting there, the tires went flat and all
I
that
don't want to
stuff.
jump.
Yeah, we can enforce that.
That was another thing, no salvage vehicle.
No salvage.
All right, yes.
Right, we want no salvage.
That's more important.
There's a truck sitting there now with flat tires.
Oh, really?
But
I missed it.
But I don't, but his business, his side of things is his car dealership has been down. The wholesale has been down.
Oh, I agree.
It's
Yes.
not up and running as normal
It
operation.
hasn't been working like
Right, so, I mean, 100 cars is fine, because as of this morning, there were 17 cars in that front row. I drove 2 miles an hour around. And were they four deep there?
Yeah.
4 rows, so that means not even 100 cars currently there. So, I mean,
I didn't see cars with flat tires.
Well, I think the point of no salvage vehicles.
So that's a total of 7 conditions.
Yes. That's more than enough conditions.
Okay.
Well, we had 25 on just the music.
Well, let's not try to break a record.
Was it 27?
That was very, very
That was
difficult.
okay. And I will close the public hearing. I haven't heard anything from them.
Yep, there's been nothing indicated.
And I asked for any other questions from the board? I think we've asked. Okay. Should we get a motion from the?
Oh, I would just, one other thing I would just acknowledge, at least acknowledge that you're gonna defer seeker to the planning board during site plan review.
Just like to ask about it.
Yeah.
I'll defer that.
Because you wouldn't want to segment it anyhow.
So actually, we need a motion then to defer.
Yes.
Okay, for appeal number 821, application for a special use permit, I'll make a motion to accept it with the conditions that were just.
Before we do that, let's defer. Let's have a
Oh,
motion.
let's defer the seeker to planning review. Site review by planning board, and then we will add those conditions that we just read. What was it? You said it was 7?
Yeah, I'll go over them again when you make your motion.
Well, we'll put them in the second motion.
Yeah.
This was the first one. Oh, there's 2 motions. Pardon me, I'm sorry.
So can I have a second on the motion to defer the seeker to the planning board?
I'll second that motion.
And I guess we'll pull.
Well, Trish is here. Trish, are you still on? Trish?
Yes, I'm on. I am having a very hard time getting any of this for a transcript. I'm supposed to be doing word for word and I cannot understand anything. I need you to slow down a lot. There's an echo that's making it very difficult.
Well, the good news is I have the tape recorder running as a backup.
Okay.
That's a good thing.
And would you poll the board, please, Trish?
Sure. Mr. Ohms?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzsimmons?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
I can't even tell. Is that Mr. Farrell back there?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And Mr. Rendall?
Yes. Okay, so we're referring this to seeker to the planning board. And now we'll have a motion for the.
Now we can do appeal 821, an application for a special use permit with 7
It's got the table.
Conditions, I'll go over them again. 1, no exterior signage. 2, no exterior lighting. 3, only automobiles and light duty trucks are to be stored on site. 4, a 100 vehicle limit. 5, resurfacing the lot with fresh gravel. 6, no salvage vehicles on the site at any time. 7, no retail sales of vehicles from the site at any time. Oh, and then, the recommendation going with that,
For the site,
for that resolution would be, submission of a landscaping plan, to the, planning board during site plan review.
Could you guys explain to me how that works with the recommendation of the site planning board?
How that works is, the next thing that's gonna have to happen now is this is gonna have to come to site plan review with the planning board. And during that application, they're gonna look to see, that a landscaping plan is included as part of that submission, part of that application for the planning board's review.
And then they'll vote on this whole thing happening or not?
Yep, but no, that's at a separate board. You'll have to submit a separate application, hopefully next month. And, at that time, the landscaping plan is reviewed by the planning board. Separate meeting, separate application.
Okay.
good night. Good. Okay, second.
Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
Okay. Mr. Fitzsimmons. Any further discussion? Would you call the board, please?
Mr. Elms? Okay, the dog says yes. Mr. Elms?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzsimmons?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
No.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Chairman Nendall?
Yes. Okay, so appeal number 821 is approved.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. I'm gonna, shut off your, mic now. Thank you for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye now.
Take care. So we'll move on to the next appeal, which is appeal number 824, request of Kelvin and Tanya Darnley of 13 Marine Drive, Southland Falls, New York, 12803 for an area variance pursuant to Chapter 149, Article 10, Chapter 149, Section 9A, in Town Law 67B. Applicants are proposing to construct a two-car garage that will not meet the required side yard setback in the R1 one-family zoning district. This property is designated 49-41.41-1-9 on the town assessment map. And do we have any correspondence on this? Do we have any?
No, nothing was in the,
I noticed on the applicants, that it said something about letters from the police, letters from neighbors.
hold on, let me just make sure.
And this, I believe I'm a neighbor of this property. I don't receive letters.
I know Kathy sent them out.
Okay.
Yeah, the list is here.
Actually, I own the property across the street from that car lot too. I
Yeah.
haven't got anything.
Yeah, you're on the list here.
Am I?
Yeah. Quite a list.
Well,
Tanya, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's see. Yes, we do have correspondence here. We have a letter from Kevin Higgins. And I don't see his name on the list here per se. But I can read that letter into the record if you'd like. Dear board members, I'm writing this letter on behalf of the Darnley family that resides at 13 Marine Drive in Southland Falls. They have recently shared with me their desire to build an addition onto their current house. In the past 10 years of their ownership of the home, they have completely renovated the house inside and out, made many landscaping improvements, and have been great neighbors. The addition that they are looking to build to accommodate their growing family and will keep them in our community and neighborhood. They have discussed with me the type of addition and placement on their property. They're going to be encroaching on the property line and will be seeking a variance to allow the project. They have my full support in pursuing this addition and variance, as it will bring increased property values to the homes around it. This is, and thanks for your consideration. This is signed by Kevin Higgins at 7 Marine Drive.
So that's not the next one.
Well, I think I have one more.
This property is what, 13?
Well, actually, I have two more. Sorry. I'll read the next. To whom it may concern, my name is John Goodman, and I live at 12 Marine Drive. Calvin asked me if I would mind him adding a 2-car garage to his home at 13 Marine Drive, which is across the street from me. It is definitely fine with me, as Calvin and his family have done nothing but improve the appearance of their home and landscape. I would certainly expect the same from this endeavor. Sincerely, John Goodman, and that was dated February 10th, 2020. There's been some lag time here with the delay. And then we have another letter. Dear board members, I'm writing this letter on behalf of the Darnley family that resides at 13 Marine Drive in South Glens Falls. They have recently shared with me their desire to build an addition on their current house. In the past 10 years of their ownership of the home, they have completely renovated the house inside and out. They made many landscaping improvements and have been great neighbors. The addition that they are looking to build to accommodate their growing family and will keep them in our community and neighborhood. They have discussed with me the type of addition and placement on their property. They're going to be encroaching on the property line and will be seeking a variance to allow the project. They have my full support pursuing this addition and variance, and it will bring increased property values of the homes around it. Thank you for your consideration. John Marcantonio, 9 Marine Drive. And that is all the correspondence we have. So 3 letters.
Is there any neighbors on?
Well, John Marcantonio is.
John Marcantonio is on.
Not exactly next door, but the next one over. I know that.
Where do you live?
Behind there. What's your name?
Okay.
And I don't object. I really don't.
Let me see here. I'll check against at least the.
Behind them, definitely within the 500 feet.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Our lot is, this here lot, this is our neighbor, and we're over here. We're right behind John Marcantonio.
Oh, okay.
We have John Marcantonio is on the list here on the screen.
So, Mrs. Darnley?
Yes.
We usually just have applicants tell us something about what they're doing, so maybe we can ask you.
Sure. Also, my neighbor next door is on, Don Getman.
Okay, I do see him on the list. I was looking for him. Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That's 11? Is that 11?
Nope, she's 15. Right now.
Anyways, tell us what you're doing.
So we would like to add a 2-car garage, and we have a 1-car garage. We have a ranch. We'd like to add the 2-car garage in front of the 1-car garage, and the existing garage now would just be a family room, I guess, and partly a mud room entryway into the house. Unfortunately, we don't meet the requirements. We're only going to have 3 feet 6 inches because we're on the corner lot. Our lot is really irregular shaped. It's small in the front and larger in the back. And we can't build the garage back because our septic's right behind it. And on Dawn's side, the neighbor, 15 Marine Drive, all the houses are on, our bedrooms are on that end. So we can't really reconfigure the layout of our house. So the only option is in front of the driveway.
What's the width of the proposed addition at the front? I don't see it on the drawing.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. Can you repeat that?
The width of the garage, what will the width of the garage be when you're done?
22 feet.
I don't think you can do much smaller than that for a 2-car garage.
No, that's pretty small. So that is the bare minimum. That's the minimum for 2 cars.
Okay. And your property, you're already, well, what is the side setback there? The requirement is, what's the requirement for the side setback that,
I think that drawing had there, it said bottom right there, 15 feet from.
It's 15 feet, isn't it?
15 feet.
Yeah, I think it's 15 feet.
Bottom right. Read it, I don't know, 12.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, you're right, Paul.
It's
yeah, I
12
think it
feet.
is 12.
It's 12 feet there?
Yeah, it's referenced in my notes, 12 foot minimum side yard setback, and I quantified the amount of relief there for you.
No, yes. No.
In the R1 district.
Okay, and just, you may have already answered this, but let me ask you, the person at number 11 is the most impacted by this. Do we have anything from him? I thought we did that.
No, I don't have anything from him.
Have you talked to him at all?
No.
Okay. But he did get a letter, I assume.
Yes.
Because that's where you're gonna be closest, and I'm trying to, you know, I guess the concern with being that close, you know, there's a number of concerns, and I know that's an odd shaped lot. There is also always the concern about access for a fire. But it looks to me like what we're looking at is there is room through his lot, you know, but there isn't an awful lot of room right now through your lot anyways, on the side there. But it is very substantial.
That's a substantial.
Very substantial, and it is very close to the side.
It's really a function of two things, the tapering lot and then the placement of the home itself, the dwelling. If we're further back, there'd be some more latitude here, but.
Yeah.
And the reason they can't move that over further is there's a door right there?
Yep.
I'm not sure.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
I think the floor plan of the home is not.
They're very, yeah, they're very limited. I was there and we had a little discussion and, there's just not anything they can do.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the way the house is set up, it's coming directly out forward from the front of the house.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens to be the way the house is set. It kind of, you know, it does, you know, again, you know, the concern in terms of access of emergency vehicles to the backyard, you have to be, it then becomes, the onus then is on the neighbor to maintain that access.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Well,
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it's.
but they have access on the other side.
Yeah, yes, you're right. That's true. That's true.
And we're not blocking the whole backyard up.
There are site plan indicates there's 22 feet on the other side.
Good point.
I just don't like it being that close to the line, actually. That's close, and that would be to the eve of the garage, so that can't be the garage, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, and that's really close.
So you got 3.5 feet, right?
Roughly, that's it.
So you don't get a tractor back there, that's, yeah, you're not gonna get a vehicle back there, right?
Oh, yeah, well, the other side, but it's the fact that it's just so close to the line, I mean, that's really close.
When you say the garage is gonna be 22 feet, you do realize that that has to be from the eaves to the eaves.
Yes.
Okay, so you're, and I don't know, I don't think that your house has really a huge, well, it has a pretty decent overhead. So you'll just have to work with your builder to make sure that's done right.
That neighbor would have got, the neighbor that's on that side would have gotten a letter.
I assume. I can blame my lack of letters and postal service. We kept changing our minds about when we're coming home. But are there any other comments from folks on the line here? Do we have anything else?
I could turn on, I see Mr. Marcantonio was indicated, I could see if he wants to speak.
Good evening, guys.
Antonio?
Yes, sir.
All right, we have you, we kind of provided the audio access here if you'd like to, if there's anything you'd like to say about this application.
I appreciate that. So, Mr. Randall, you might be aware, the house that is directly next door to me has been the focus of a lot of police activity and a lot of undesirable activity. For them to be encroaching on that property line, my understanding with a garage is not going to impact the lives of the folks that are there now. And anybody that would be buying the house in the future would come in there with the understanding that, it's a pre-existing structure. I know my house in Glens Falls, when I lived there, my garage was 1 foot from the property line on both sides. And it never impacted my interactions with my neighbors or, quality of life issues.
11 Marine Drive is on the list. They were
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that wants to speak to this? I'm going to just review the requirements for a area variance. We do tend to be, it's a weighing of the benefits of the applicant versus the detriment to the neighborhood. The first requirement is an abstract application. The dimensional requirements will result in a specified practical difficulty to the applicant. And because of the shape of the lot and the curve in the road, I think that kind of creates this difficulty that's would be a problem. And I think you pointed out the need for the fact that the garage needs to be in the proper side of the house, not the bedroom side of the house. And you have a septic would prevent you from doing anything back there. The next is how substantial the requested variance is in relation to the requirements. And it is quite substantial. I don't know, what was the percentage? 71%, yeah. So it is substantial, it is certainly a substantial variance.
I do have Eugene Rudolph here, and he is putting his hand up to talk, so.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, good.
Hello. Mr. Rudolph?
Hello.
Are you there? I just saw the symbol come up, so you're able to talk. And I also have Dawn Getman on. She's put her hand up.
Yes, I am here, and I resent the fact about that police comment remark. I can't hear, and I'm 85 years old, but I have a bedroom next to that fence with a 10-foot, 10 by 10 screened-in porch there where I go out in the summertime to enjoy the breezes. He wants to put up a 15-foot or 12-foot wall right there, add it to the side of his garage and turn it into a two-car garage. He has plenty of acreage behind the house to build things. He's constantly building. But if he needs garage space, he could put it in the backyard. I don't want to be out on my little screened-in porch and have 10 feet away a 15-foot wall or a 12-foot wall going down the side of the property line. He enhances the value of his property and destroys mine. And because my daughter is in prison, he doesn't have a right to start making comments about that. That's none of his damn business. My business is the protection of the value of my property. And I need that. He can't use that and give me no airspace and no sunlight just to block everything out.
So your contention is that
Hello?
Yes, your contention is that the garage there is going to block your
Porch, was it a porch you said?
your porch?
Mr. Rudolph?
Yeah, the other neighbors don't object. Yes.
Okay.
Can't hear it.
I'm not sure where the, I can't, I'm looking at the picture, but I don't see that. I mean, I don't see it blocking your porch, but I mean, it's not a good picture either, so it's hard to tell.
To my recollection, I'm not sure how it would really detract from him enjoying his porch.
Yeah.
And it's pretty fresh in my mind. I respect his feelings.
Yeah.
But I'm not a hard time with the garage. It's going to be set a little forward, well forward of where, if I remember correctly, where his porch and his home is.
Here's a photograph. You can see it's like the trees.
Yeah, and there is some foliage in there as well as the front and the side.
People more out ways.
Maybe
I take a look at that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was over there and go by it. I usually take a picture on my phone that didn't come. So I looked at the picture.
I looked at it this morning, myself, and again, I went back up.
I just think the street. I think that's why
It is.
I mean, the reason that they put 12-foot setbacks is because that's what the towns want you to have. And that's all.
Standing up, good. Okay. Thank you.
Can I take a quick picture? Sure. Look at that.
The color version is a little bit easier. See, there's, this property line is not correct.
Right.
So it's here.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
I mean, it's already tight. It's already tight.
Yeah.
I mean, the house where it is right now is a little bit tight.
It's 13 feet.
Right, bringing it forward and making it a little bit tighter, if it was me, I would hope, I'd like to think that I would be understanding of the neighbor's situation and say, geez, if it was me, I'd like the neighbor to understand that we have no other options here. But I can't tell Mr. Rudolph what he should think and how he should feel, so but to your point, I understand that's what setbacks are for, that's what appeals are for also.
Yeah, but I was involved in an appeal that we got permission to build on. And when you're doing construction with that little bit of property, how do you build that building, that step on the neighbor's property?
Exactly.
So that's
4 feet on the ground, right? You get scaffold pretty much.
Honestly, you almost have to be on the neighbor's property for the construction.
I do work in downtown Sarasota, unfortunately, you don't. I do work on a lot.
Well, that's a real, it became a real problem with the contractor that we had, and it became a real issue. I mean, I think it's definitely something you have to think about when you're talking about that small of a setback.
No question, man.
And this is a garage, right? You're not doing a full basement there, this is just a garage, so you got a 4-foot cross wall, I assume?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
There's no full basement below the addition, right? It's just gonna be a garage only?
Yes, garage only, no basement.
So I'm looking at a 4-foot hole dug to put in footings. At least 4 foot, more likely 5.
I say we're not going 8 or 9 foot, you're gonna be a
No,
little set.
I hear you.
It's so tight.
And they're going from a 1-car garage to 2 cars.
We also have a Don Getman. Don, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Did you have something to say?
I was just going to point out I'm the neighbor on the other side, and there's plenty of room for emergency access to the back of the house from my side of the property. So as far as emergency access, that really isn't an issue.
Mrs. Gutman, do you feel like this would devalue? I know you're not a real estate agent, and you're probably not an expert on home valuations, but do you feel like this would detract or devalue Mr. Rudolph's home?
I don't. I walk frequently in the neighborhood, and in walking by, it doesn't seem like it would be that close to the porch. I can see his concern maybe with the breeze, but there's a lot of trees around it and stuff, so I'm not sure how much breeze he gets anyway. But as far as how close it is, I mean, in downtown Glens Falls, there's tons of properties way closer. Even in downtown, like the town of South Glens Falls, there's properties way closer. That, I don't think it costs the value of the house for the little bit of space that the garage would take up.
Thank you.
If anything, I would think it would increase the property value because it would increase the Darnley's property value, and they go by average property value in the area. So that's one of the reasons that I'm for it, is if their property goes up, it helps my property.
And you're correct.
Mr. Kaplan, do you have anything to say?
Mr. Rudolph?
Rudolph, I'm sorry.
Mr. Rudolph.
Mr. Rudolph, do you have anything more to add to this?
Yes, I have something to say. He has alternatives in his backyard. There's a huge acreage back there. He could put 20-car garage behind his house. He don't need it next to mine. And because my daughter's in prison and these neighbors don't think that's such a good thing, I can't help that. I can't change that. But I don't have a 15-foot wall 10 feet away from my screened-in deck there just because he wants to put add a garage on. He has other alternatives.
Well, that's what we're here to talk about, and we're to discuss, and we're going to try. We are going to very much stick to the relevant things about the property values and the detriment to the community or benefits to the community. So we, I hear what you're saying. I've been by there to my, as I said, I think other members have, and said, I don't see it being that close to your screen. It's actually, the house is closer than the proposed addition, I believe, from what I can see.
I think that's a fair assessment.
That's correct.
Okay. And there are alternatives, but I don't, honestly, I have a real problem with this kind of a setback, with this small setback. But I also understand that, putting a garage in that back corner of that lot doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't add to the property, it detracts from the property. It looks like, the homes look, they have sheds or barns. Nothing wrong with barns.
Yes, be kind about that.
Yes, that's okay. But it's not a garage. It's not a suitable location for a garage, as far as I'm concerned. So, and the notion of the septic tank, we haven't really, I've been on this board a long time, and I don't think we've ever asked anybody to move a septic tank.
No, not like that.
So I do have a grave concern about that big a setback, but I think that it's only justified by the shape of the lot and the fact that this lot is on a curve, which makes the front, they're just weird lots back there. And I think all you folks that have lots back there know that. I will continue on with reading the requirements. The next is that the difficulty cannot be alleviated by some practical method feasible for the applicant to pursue. And I think Jim made this point well. The tapering lot width contributes to the limited site area, and apparently the floor plan of the dwelling limits possibilities for location of the new family garage, and that makes sense. There will be no substantial, next requirement is that there will be no substantial change in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to adjoining properties. While I understand, Mr. Rudolph, what you're saying, what I'm seeing and what I've seen is that this garage if built would be quite a bit forward of the adjoining house. And it wouldn't shade that from what I can see. And it's kind of the nature of this curved road there, that all the houses tend to be pretty close together up front. So I don't think it would be a substantial change in the character of the neighborhood. And that the last is that the variance would not be material detrimental to the purpose of the chapter or the property in the district in which the property is located, or conflict with other objectives or et cetera, variance. And that the variance is a minimum variance which would alleviate specific practical difficulty. To me, a 22-foot garage is the minimum variance. If you're gonna have a two-car garage. That's pretty typical two-car garages today. So, but again, it's a huge variance.
No question. So. And I understand that, and I can appreciate and respect Mr. Rudolph's feelings.
We do, I do too.
And we also really do. But I also have to, our job also is to consider the applicant as well, so.
Well, we have to weigh the detriment to the community, to the neighborhood versus the benefit to the applicant. And that's, I personally don't see any other way that the applicant can get this benefit.
Yeah,
and it's reasonable.
And that is true. I understand Mr. Rudolph's point. There's a lot of room back there. I got to take a peek, but to me, the only way to access that would be to build a driveway on this west side of the home. I mean, I just don't see that as a practical solution for these folks.
Well, having reviewed the conditions for granting a variance, can we, I will end the public hearing unless anybody else on there?
I don't see anybody with their hand raised. They are still on. I just don't see anybody indicating any further comment.
Okay. So we'll end the public hearing, and we don't need to do any seeker on this, I take it.
Correct, it's an area variance. It's a type 2 action.
We'll move on, request a motion from the board.
I'll make a motion that we accept appeal 824, granting the 71% relief requested on that front corner of the 12-foot minimum side yards setback.
We have a second?
A second.
And you understand, Mrs. Darnley, that this has to be to the eaves of the garage?
Yes. Yes, I do.
That's a big deal.
Ms. Dark, could I ask, would it be too much of an imposition to have an as-built done at the time of completion in terms of a survey? Because it is a substantial amount of relief, and we want to make sure this comes out to the forecast, dimension. So I think it might be reasonable to have an as-built, submitted at the time of the completion of the improvement.
Have they had the line marked?
Well,
With the, I mean, when I built my barn, I had the guy come over and mark the line. You put stakes line, there it is, there's my building is,
I think
there's the line.
I just recommend that being reasonable in light of, we do have the direct adjoining neighbor, in opposition.
It's not that expensive to have to just shoot the line and put a couple stakes down. They'll come over and do it, and take any time.
And we can have an as-built, prior to the issuance of the CO to
There's no
make sure.
question whether it's 3 feet 6 inches or it's 2 feet 6 inches.
Right.
And that's a huge, when we're giving this much relief, it's a huge change if it was to be a foot off. That could be huge. So I think that's something we should request.
Mrs. Darnley, does that sound reasonable?
Yes, I guess I don't know exactly what that is. I'm sorry, my husband's working nights, so he's not on this video chat, but.
Okay, let me explain. You're forecasting by your application a 3-foot 6-inch setback, and the board just has a pending resolution to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
So what an as-built is as you go to set the foundation and ultimately the building and then ultimately the eave,
Yes.
surveyor comes to the site and confirms that distance at being 3 foot 6 inches.
Oh, that's fine.
And then they provide you a survey, which everybody who comes in the office here at the planning department, I always recommend to people to have a survey of their property.
Okay, we did have it surveyed twice.
Oh, perfect. Then if you do already, then I would recommend that same surveyor would be the most cost-effective person to come back.
Okay.
And have them survey it. I would do it at the time you're digging your foundation to make sure that you're there.
Okay.
That's just a recommendation, but an as-built is the as-built condition. In other words, it updates the survey to show where the building actually lies in relationship to the property line.
Okay. We can do
But I
that.
would recommend you do that when you have the foundation hole dug for the frost wall.
Yep.
Do it at that time to make sure that things are lining up. And my point is, you don't want to have the building already all up and find out that you're off by 2 feet.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
So,
Very important.
and we can discuss this further. When you come in for your building permit,
Uh-huh.
we can discuss this further at that time.
Okay.
But it's just cautionary, and it's ultimately going to help you out, so this is built the way you intend it to be built.
Okay.
All
That's
right?
fine. Yep.
Very good.
So that one condition?
Yes. Thank you, Joe. That makes sense.
Yes.
That's very important.
Okay, so we had a second, and we, was one condition.
Yeah, and that will be provided at the time of certificate of occupancy.
So, Tricia, would you poll the board?
Mr. Helms,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzsimmons,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
Mr. Manning,
Yes.
Chairman.
Yes. Okay, so appeal number 824 is approved. The next appeal is appeal number 825, which is a request of Ronald Kowalski of 8 Christie Lane, Moreau, New York, 12808, for an area variance subject to Chapter 149, Article 10, Section 149-59A in Town Law 267B, applicant proposing to place a pre-built shed on his property that will not meet the required side yard setback. The property located on a corner lot in an R2 1 and 2 family zoning district and is designated as 77.6-1-20 on the town assessment map. Mr. Kowalski, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Would you just briefly describe what you're doing?
Sure. My intention is to purchase and locate a 8x8 log shed along the property line, eastern side of my property line, with my neighbor, to put in a log shed for the wood that I have cut down from my property. That particular section right there is fairly close to where I really would like to have the shed. It's a very, very small property, considering the fact I'm on an acre and I'm on a corner lot. So it allows me to get easy access to the wood that I need for heating, partially heating my house during the winters. And it also gets rid of right now, currently approximately 40 feet of logs that I have stretched along the property line, and hopefully get rid of all of that to make my property look a lot more beautiful and a nice, comfortable looking piece of property. So.
Okay. And this is, the relief that you're looking for is about 100 feet.
100%.
100%, I'm sorry, you're right.
We do have a correspondence.
I mean, I'm only looking for an 8x8 shelter. along the eastern side, which is, I think it's like 220 feet, 216 feet. And I'm looking for just the approval to have the shed put along that property line. It's a wooded section all along that entire length of the 216 feet.
I guess my question is, why not put it 15 feet from the property line?
I can answer that.
I mean, if I go 15 feet closer to my property, it'll probably put it within 10 feet of my house, number one. Because of the winter runoff in the spring, it will actually impede the runoff of water and snow, which normally runs down to my other shed and floods that area. It would actually put it at a high point along the property line so that it would stay dry, so that I wouldn't have any problems with that shed. I've already had to raise my existing shed 6 inches to keep it out of the water. And I've actually had to use pumps to pump the water away from that particular area at least 2 winters. So any piece of any along the property line from my shed all the way to Cashmere Ride, during the winter and early spring, that whole area gets flooded. If I go from my shed towards Christie Lane, the landscape rises up in elevation to the point near where this shed needs to be located, so that I can actually keep it dry for one thing, and basically clean up that particular area to make it look nice.
Okay. And the pictures that you have in this submission, those are samples of this shed.
No, that is the actual shed that I have purchased, that I put a deposit down, that will be moved and relocated once I get your approval.
Okay. So it's a pre-built shed that just gets moved onto your property.
Yes.
I guess, okay, the moving it in that location, where else could you move? Is there no place else in that property you could put it?
Well, the alternate slot that I had put on the drawings were for to be closer to the existing shed that I have.
Yeah.
It would also require me to raise up that shed and remove 4 shrubs and at least a dozen plants to make it feasible for that particular area, because it will flood.
And he also, he's 68. I think he's gonna store fire, and he wants it to be a little bit closer. That shed's already on the property.
Yes. We do have some correspondence from the people who wrote it's a neighbor, and they're also on the line here, so.
Can we hear from them?
Yes, do you want to open the public hearing?
Yes.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to read, we did get correspondence in the mail from Jason and Regina DeBella, and I'll read that letter now, and they're also on the line here. Subject is the 8x8 log shed at 8 Christie Lane, appeal number 825. Dear zoning committee members, please be advised, we, Jason and Regina DeBella, residing at 6 Christie Lane, are opposed to the location of the 8x8 shed being located in the side yard between our property and our neighbor's property. Ronald and Marcy Kowalski are requesting the above mentioned shed to be located closer to the property line than the town's guidelines. Their current wood pile is currently causing a nuisance with excessive amount of chipmunks living in and around it. These rodents have begun to make a home in our gutters, under our pool heater, near and around our vehicles. We would prefer to have the shed be located to the other side of their property where there is ample room for the above mentioned shed and not closest to our driveway where the chipmunks have been living. Sincerely, Jason and Regina Develop. And they're on the line as well as I said, and I have unmuted them. So I don't know, Regina and Jason, are you there?
Yes, we are. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to start off. We think very highly of Ron and Marcia. We're not opposed to the shed itself. What we're opposed to is where they're requesting. So the actual location of the shed on the property line. Yes, there are trees right now. We're not sure if they're going to remain there because honestly, the pine trees they're always on our cars. So eventually, if we wanted to put a fence, we just didn't want to have any issues regarding on the property line.
Okay.
And we're not opposed to the alternative spot for the shed.
Okay, anything from the board?
My question would be is would it work for him if we did some relief?
Right.
Rather than this 100% relief, if we did let it be 7 feet off the line, would that be, or 7.5 feet off the line, something like that, maybe 50% of it.
I was there again, and you guys were probably there. Jason brings up a point, he wanted to possibly in the future put up a fence. I had not considered that. I had an initial assessment was I would grant the relief even though it's 100% because there is that buffer. But Jason and Regina are expressing some concerns regarding some future plans, which in light of that fact, I agree that maybe we could make some sort of a compromise because I understand Mr. Kowalski's point, and I can see where there's a potential issue with water and that part of the property. He expressed me some concerns also about possibly having to make some changes to his sprinkler system and pull out some existing shrubbery. And also given the fact that he said he's 68 years of age and has some health issues. He just wanted that shed to be a little bit closer for ease of access. So is there a possibility that we can compromise, to your point, and bring it a little bit closer to the house, I guess would be something for Mr. Kowalski.
It might even help him move, transport the wood before.
Right.
Well, it's actually short, this is for transport of the wood.
So Mr. Kowalski, if you're saying that's a high point on your property, that's why you want it there, am I correct?
Well, it's a high point because it would clearly keep the shed and the wood that I have there dry.
Right. So, and anywhere else, pretty much anywhere else in the property, you're telling us that you'd have to build it up to keep it dry.
Well, the alternate site that I put on the drawings, not only would I have to remove the shrubbery and flowers, I would probably have to bring in some crushed stone to raise it up, probably at least 6 inches, just like I did to the existing shed, so that I can keep it out of the water.
And so anywhere else on the property, that would be a problem. Water.
The property line from shed to Kashmir, probably 95% of the time in the spring is flooded and has water problems. So to me, that almost eliminates that particular area because it's not only a lot farther away from me to carry wood, but I probably would have to potentially raise it up maybe closer to a foot. And to me, that's now we're talking some serious money.
So
having it.
So how do you feel about, go ahead. Go ahead. All right. How do you feel about compromising and bringing that further away from the property line here?
Well, I mean, if I can, sit with Jason and Regina, and if they don't, if we can look at the property, and if we can come to an agreement, I don't really have a problem with that.
Because I think their point about potentially wanting to build a fence in the future is a good point.
Yeah, it's also maintenance of the shed. If they did put a fence in there, you'd have no, they know it'd be 1 foot off their property line. So you'd have no way to access the backside and maintain your shed that close to the property line either. So I think we do need some sort of a minimum setback. We just kind of hassled over a 3.5 foot setback, which really is the E, so you're 4 foot to the building structure, so you really have 4.5 feet. We were just talking about that being considerably tight. We laid on that one for a while. To go with a 0 setback, I'm not comfortable with that at all. So we need to come up with some sort of compromise and back off of a 0 setback. The alternate site, I understand, is not ideal, but that one is code compliant. So I think compromise between the alternate site and the 0, 100% relief, I think is a fair request. I would say at least need a 5 foot minimum.
Well, I'm more inclined to be 50%.
50%, so
7.5 feet. I still think.
In there too, 50 foot setback there too, so 7.5.
I would say 7.5 feet.
And that's our substantial threshold, correct?
That to me is substantial.
That's been the rule.
We don't normally, that 3.6 is way over beyond what we normally do.
You're comfortable with 50%.
We don't even usually do that, so I think that.
That's.
Looking at where it was located, looking at his yard, looking at, I don't think that would impact the neighbors that much with the 7.5 foot off the line. I think that it would still give him the ability to put his shed roughly where he wants to put it, is a little bit further. I don't always have a comfort level with these things, but I'm willing to look at that if that would work for him.
Would 7.5 feet work for you? Off the property line, Mr. Kowalski?
I think it would bring the shed out farther out. I would agree if it was agreeable to everyone, I would possibly agree to like 5 feet, and then I would also agree to have a survey done to show where the line is, and I would go from there 5 feet.
Now that does, if you will have the line marked and doing that, Bill, like we requested on the last one.
Well, this is a much easier situation to accommodate, because the shed's essentially on skids.
Yes, it is.
I would like to see an as-built, but it isn't like a fixed.
But yeah, it's not a fixed, right?
It is adjustable, but it would be nice to verify its location once he's got it positioned.
I have to be honest, Mr. Kowalski, though, I'm uncomfortable doing anything more than 50%, because I don't see anything extraordinary about this lot.
Right.
I know that there's a water issue. I know there's some other issues with your sprinkler, but sprinklers are relatively easy to move, I believe.
Oh, they're reasonable.
And I don't, in building up what you set up a building like this on is not that complicated. I just am not, I don't see an extraordinary problem.
I think we're pushing it 50%.
If I can just our max.
And I think we're being accommodating, because we always have to look at this isn't imposes on the neighbor. I mean, you're imposing on the neighbor. There's supposed to be 15-foot setback. That's what the rules are. And you have to have a real strong reason, like with the previous applicant, that they couldn't add on any other way. They couldn't add septic behind them. I hear the water issues, but that's fairly easily remedied with a little bit of raising the shed up and doing things like that. So it's a temporary issue.
If it comes to the point that you would accept 7.5 feet, so will I.
I just want to say that's great. If a fence is built there, it's kind of a moot point though, right? I mean, as soon as you erect a fence, the shed becomes, you're closed off.
Well, it's still going to have 7.5 feet behind it, and I like that, and I think that's plenty.
There's also a significant distance between the two properties.
Yeah, but that doesn't really play a point on the line. I mean, when we're giving a variance on a property setback, a line setback, there really has to be a justifiable reason. I mean, it really has to be a big imposition on the applicant, cost factor, all those things play into this. And I hear what he's saying, and there is some impact on him, and I think we can mediate that with a 7.5-foot setback. And I think that's being very generous.
You know, what we're here for is to prevent there being unreasonable application of the law. But the law is 15 feet, and the town made that law for a reason. So to change that, there has to be a good reason.
We have to be very careful with those changes. We have to be able to justify them.
Can't be really doing.
And it can't be that it's, well, I gotta move a sprinkler head. Well, a sprinkler head isn't a big imposition. If it was a septic system, that's a huge imposition. That could go around 20 grand. You know.
It's only 8 by 8.
Yeah, and you raise the shed up front, that's not a big imposition. I think we're being extremely generous at going to 50% on this. And I think if it's, you know, and I hope that the neighbors were comfortable with that, because it has an impact on them.
And can I speak to the neighbors? Are the neighbors there that?
Yes, they're still on. Mr. DeBella, are you still there?
Yes, we are. We're still here. We're not opposed to the 7.5. And just for the record, I mean, money-wise, right now, we're not erecting a fence. That's a lot of properties.
That could be down the road.
And like I said, we like Ron and Marsha. We think very highly of them. They're very nice neighbors. We don't want to inconvenience them. But like you said, I mean, the property line, that was our concern. And we have no problem with meeting them more than halfway, 50%. We're okay with that.
You know, it's, Mr. Kowalski, I understand your concern, and you make good points about the water and all the rest of the stuff. And you know, it is reasonable to have your woodshed close to your house, and, you know, convenient to you. Those are all reasons why area variances are fairly easy to get, but they're not supposed to be, they're not rubber stamps either. The law is the law. And
no, I think we're compromising with this. And I think that'll work for me. I look at this property, I don't think that should look bad being 7.5 feet out of that line. Where it's sitting, it'll be convenient for them.
So, having said all that, I think we've covered the requirements for the variance. The difficulty cannot be alleviated by some practical method other than, and we've compromised on that. That it is, we are at the kind of threshold that we've used over the years for 50% variance is the place where we sort of say no more than that. Unless, like the last one, it is very exceptional. And then the next one is that there will be no substantial change in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to adjoining properties. I don't see that as being a problem. Then the variance would not be material detrimental to the purposes, chapter, of property in the district in which the property is located or other conflict. Otherwise, conflict with the policy of the town. And I think it does it. So, anyway, we have a motion.
Did you still want to do the confirmation of the setback in the survey?
I like that because it solves, if the neighbors, as we've had happen before, if the neighbors sell their house and another neighbor moves in and he questions that shed, and we gave him 7.5 feet, that's 5 feet away from the line, it becomes, he doesn't have to give us an as-built, but if he can give you, if you can have that line marked for us so we know that he's 7.5 feet off, that would be helpful.
So is this conditioned upon confirmation of the lot boundary?
Yes.
I mean, I have no objections if I bring Gina and Jason over to my house when I get it delivered and he tells me where to put it, and that's where I'll put it.
Okay.
If he's satisfied.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
50%, I think we're okay with that. Thank you, guys.
So we close the public hearing.
We make a motion.
I'll make a motion, appeal number 825 for variance setback, that we give him 50%, which is 7.5 feet off the line, with the condition that he will verify that that's 7.5 feet.
With the neighbor.
With the neighbor.
The other thing is, just to remind you, Mr. Kowalski, this is subject to a building permit, so you need to come in for a permit for the shed.
Okay.
Even though it's prefab and all that, it still needs a permit.
Yeah. I've already submitted one to the building department.
Okay, fair enough, great.
Very good. Any further discussion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
To confirm.
Poll the board, please, Trish.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Fitzsimmons,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
Mr. Manning,
Yes.
Chairman,
Yes. Okay. So appeal number 825 is approved.
Did you have anything further, Mr. Delabella? Or Mr. DeBella?
I did, just to be clear, so how are we confirming the actual property line? Us, or the survey, or how? Or is someone from the zoning department coming out?
It's to be agreeable between you and Ron.
Okay.
As to the location of the line and then where the shed gets placed in respect to the line.
Okay.
And I think Matt Drymiller, the building and code enforcement officer, should be there to verify the location of the shed. That'll be required as part of the permit.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Ron.
Very reasonable. All around. Okay.
They can have the air on here tonight. Same time.
That's it.
Okay. No further business. This meeting is adjourned.
Okay.